Well, hello, everybody. It is the last chapter in John today. If you haven't had a chance, go back to the playlist. It's either in the youth group or in the John playlist on the YouTube channel, and you'll see all 21 videos and 21 devotions from every chapter in John is on there. Well, good job. If you made it through every chapter, awesome. And so glad you were able to go on that journey with me. If you haven't, no better time to start than now. Go back, start at John chapter 1 and go through it. Take your own 21-day discipleship challenge. But I'm glad we've gone on this. It's been great to spend some time in John and then to share, a few thoughts with you each day. It's been good. But today as we finish up John chapter 21, the biggest thing that I hear in that last chapter of John is the invitation to follow Christ. Come follow me. That's what I hear in John. It starts off with an interesting story, I think, where Peter and some of the other disciples, they get in the boat and they go fishing. And the first thing that strikes me with that is that's what they've always done, isn't it? They're fishermen. That's where Jesus found them. So the story of Peter's journey with Jesus starts on the banks of the Sea of Galilee. That's where Jesus found him. That's what Jesus called him out of. He called him out of being a fisher of fish to being a fisher of men. And Peter followed Jesus. And don't forget that here, not that long ago, Peter denied Jesus publicly 3 times. So it's just an awkward, uncomfortable, weird time for Peter. And I'm sure he's struggling with what am I supposed to do and where am I supposed to go? And so I just find it interesting that Peter ends up right back where he started, on the banks of the Sea of Galilee, fishing. And that is so true for all of us. When you get stressed out in life and when you start to face some hard and some difficult times, all of us will revert back to something that we've always known. We'll revert back to something that we're comfortable in, some place that we find security in. And some of those things that we revert back to when we find ourselves struggling or facing difficult situations. And what I find interesting is that those situations always come when we've been growing and maturing. And it's always tempting to go back to something when we get to those places. And sometimes when we revert to something and we go back, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And some of those behaviors that we used to have or the things that we found comfort and security in, they aren't necessarily bad or sinful. Peter deciding to go fishing wasn't necessarily bad or sinful. Some of us, however, have things that we'll revert back to that are very destructive and harmful, and we should never find ourselves in them again, but yet we do. So I think it's a challenge for us that when we find ourselves in these moments of wanting to go back to where we find comfort, to push through them and to keep following Jesus. And I think that's why Jesus found them and appeared to them on the Sea of Galilee. I want to remind you that Jesus, after he rose from the dead, he wasn't with the disciples every single day. He appeared to them a few times, but he wasn't with them every day. So I find it interesting that Jesus decided to appear to them again while they were out fishing. I think Jesus knew these guys need some encouragement because they're going backwards. They're going back to what they used to know. Instead of following me ahead and following me forward, they're going back. And so Jesus finds them on the Sea of Galilee. They, of course, don't recognize Jesus. He says, hey, throw out your net on the other side of the boat. So they did, and they caught so many fish, they had to go to shore, pull the net ashore. It was 153 fish, and I love how John points out, yet the net didn't break. When we follow Jesus, he is able to stretch us beyond what we thought we could handle or control. And so don't be afraid to keep pushing forward. You may think you can't handle it, and that's okay because Jesus can. So he's teaching the disciples an awesome lesson here of keep following me, guys. Don't go back to fishing for fish. I have called you to be fishers of men. And it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable, but you won't break. Let's keep moving forward. And so he invites them to breakfast, and then he has this awesome conversation with Peter where he asks Peter 3 different times, Peter, do you love me? And I think it's an opportunity for Peter to really do some soul searching and decide, do I really want to follow Jesus or do I want to go fishing? And of course, Peter says, of course I love you. And so Jesus' challenge is, well, then follow me. and take care of my sheep. Build the church that I've called you to build. Don't go fish. Go build the church that I've called you to build. And then his last challenge to the disciples, one of the last things that John records him saying to them is, you follow me. It comes in this time when Peter and John were discussing with Jesus who was going to betray him and who would be with him and all this. And Jesus basically interrupts them and says, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and just follow me. That's all you've got to do. And so, guys, I want you to hear nothing else. From the book of John, John has been arguing this whole time that Jesus is more than just a man. He is God. And that we have a choice. We can follow him or not. And I'm begging you today, I'm pleading with you, just like Jesus was talking to the disciples and pleading with them, follow him. Put down your fishing nets, get out of the boat, and go follow Jesus. It'll be uncomfortable and hard and awkward at times, but Jesus will be with you. Your net won't break. Follow him, and it'll be the best adventure of your life. Guys, God bless you. Have a great day, great week. And we'll come up with another devotion at some point. But until then, we'll see you later. Have a good one.